Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the PodCAS, an unofficial IB podcast made by IB students for IB students. And today we don't have a special guest like the past few times.
Oh no.
Of course,
Of us. And we'll be here to discuss relaxation in the IB diploma.
and
the IB diploma.
yep, and although relaxation seems to be a term that does not exist in the IB dictionary, we're just gonna be talking, maybe about a few ways that
The one rare occasion you get some time off. Like, what do you do there? This is just completely foreign for you. No, we'll discuss our experiences a bit and how to properly manage time in the IB diploma to at least get you some relaxation.
Well, I mean, let's start with you. I know you to be a person who works just about every single second, and despite that, you still somehow sometimes do not get, the quality of work that you desired. Like,
What's up? What is up?
what is up?
I mean, okay. The quality of work I desire. If you talk about the Chem IA fiasco specifically, I want you to know it's not like all of that went to waste. Okay, I may have redone my Chem IA like 5 times, but that means the 6th one, the one that I had to go through, was I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, and
I'm pretty proud of the analysis I did.
yeah, and I mean, that's a pretty good thing because not all is lost. Because I mean, certainly you must have learned from the first 5 failures about how to properly come up, with a topic and not come up with a topic that doesn't work. I mean, I don't take chem, so
Takes a lot of foresight.
I wouldn't
True.
be able to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Relaxation on that though.
yeah, but how do you relax? Like, what do you do, and
Relax.
where do you find time to do these things?
You need to keep a schedule every single time. You need to make sure you know what you want to do for a day and you follow through with that schedule so that when you give yourself some relaxation time, you're like, yeah, you pat yourself on the back. Like, good job. You did all that work, you followed your schedule, and now you can spend like an hour every night just going through dog videos. What is up? I'm fine. But literally what I'm saying is it doesn't matter how much relaxation you get. To me, it's more so the quality of relaxation.
Yeah, and I'd agree. I mean, I've heard some kind of talk about the types of relaxation, and like an argument would say, would you rather be able to relax for like a whole day, or would you rather be able to relax for a little bit, but then you would able to spread that relaxation throughout your entire week? I mean,
Yep.
would you rather have a day off, or would you rather have an hour to yourself every single day? And I think that's kind of an interesting kind of concept that will fit different people differently. What about you? I mean, for you, which one would be the form of relaxation that you would kind of prefer?
Generally, I go with both.
You go with both.
Weekends kind of exist, and so I try to make Sunday at least like one of my break days where I can just spend some time with family, go outside, go to church,
Mm-hmm.
take my dog out for a walk for once. And I mean, I guess if I'm a bit biased here because I just came off of a vacation, a 2-day vacation, but are also really good for you too, in my opinion. Like you can, it's if you have to choose one, it would definitely be 1 hour spread out between all these days. But if you can get 1 day off amidst those busy days, that's also really healthy for you too. Catching up on sleep is a big one as well.
Yeah, and I definitely would agree with that. That you must find a good balance between the kind of rest that you want. I mean, certainly, there will be certain days where you might not be able to afford to take some rest time off, where just overflowed works, and then you might need a day to catch up, just a day to clean up after yourself, maybe clean your room, do some laundry, or I don't know, just spend the entire day taking care of yourself. I feel like that is some valuable time that I mean I personally would like recommend everyone try to get it, even though saying as IB students we might not have the easiest time getting there.
Especially as second year.
Especially as second years.
So
Now,
sorry for all of you out there.
yeah. For year one, if like any person year one is trying to evaluate their rest time, I'd say, and of course it's gonna be the same advice that you could
Here,
catch up to your work like now and not later. But
it's gonna be very difficult to do so, considering like you don't have the same skill set you will have like at the beginning of your second year. But at least try to lay as much groundwork as you can. That's really good.
and
Other
like
than that, though, on relaxation, go ahead.
yeah.
I can continue my topic later.
No, you go ahead for now. I'll continue
Alright.
mine.
Alright. Well, we've been talking about quality relaxation, but like, what the heck for relaxation to begin with? What is some quality relaxation time for you? What would you call quality?
Oh, I mean, for me, like personally, I mean, for us, we have like a space at school where the seniors can all hang out
Yes.
and like relax there, like a senior lounge, and you know that is a place I do spend a lot of my like often all my breaks on, unless I have like club activities or teachers meetings and whatnot. But most of the time I spend there, and for me, I do think that having other people to spend time for relaxation with is a key thing, because although you might say like, oh, you can also spend time with other people and like do some studying at the same time, but I feel like, you know, like let's say you have like a friend who's a close friend who doesn't have the same class as you, and if your only way of relaxation is gonna be, or like spending time together is gonna be spending time studying, then if you don't have the same class, then it might be like difficult.
Usually just counterproductive.
Yeah, or like just like hard to get anything going. But then if you're just like relaxing and say, hey, we're just gonna sit down and we're just not gonna worry about work for like an hour, and after this you can go do your work, I'll go do my work, and we can both concentrate apart. I think, yeah, although having like a relaxation spot close to like an academic spot can cause like people to like mix up between like actual life, I mean like mixing up between work and personal life. I mean that has to be like a good separation you need to do, in my opinion at least. But yeah.
So, do you prefer studying alone rather than studying with other people?
That is an interesting. Studying alone and studying with your friends both have its advantages and disadvantages.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, studying alone, one thing is that you would have like a more concentrated environment where you can like focus all your energy in one spot.
People stealing your books, like trying to hide them everywhere in the library.
Yeah, not have to worry about what other people are doing that much. But working with other people, and especially with like maybe with like someone who you know are like more proficient in that subject, might benefit you. You can like ask them questions, do some group discussions. I also say like depend from subject to subjects. If maybe like some subjects where you need to like channel your work into like one spot, let's say maybe for like computer science, and let's say, you know, having to work on like my internal assessment project and having to like create a program, and you know, since all class are at the same spot, we have the same amount of knowledge, I say for that case working alone will be better, because each of us has like different programs that we're working with. But if for example for maybe like something like doing like an English work where we're all like working on like the same novel, reading the same books, then maybe on like especially those like language and like history, societies kind of subject where discussion is a more key component of the subject, I feel like those things working with other people would benefit. I mean, what about you? What do you think?
If I want productive studying time, it's generally 70% alone, 30% with other people. I I heavily favor studying alone rather than with other people. So with other people, like it's still okay. Studying alone helps you to really get the content. Studying with other people helps you to refine that content and make sure like you really know what you're saying. It's like you get the meat of your studying down when you're doing it alone. When you have your text in front of you, when you have a peace of mind, when you have music going on in the background, you can study alone and you can make sure what's going in your head is going in your head without any other distraction. With other, quiz them, ask each other questions, try to see if your knowledge is in the right place, if you're up to track of other people. And I guess would you really call that studying though? It's refining knowledge, but it's not really any like solo studying kind of work.
I mean, like maybe that's kind of like more like revision sessions, but
Revision, yeah, that's a better word for it.
I don't know. I personally do not know much. I mean, I feel like studying is like when you're trying to get newer concept that you don't know, and revision is when you, like as you said, like refine your own knowledge on like a certain subjects.
Probably a better definition for this too.
Yeah, I say too.
They're both pretty essential. They're both pretty essential for doing well on the exam.
Yeah.
What about video games? I guess during the ID diploma, like
I mean,
other more taxing things.
yeah, video
Other more, like,
games, social media, like looking on videos, reading articles, going on forums, whatever. I mean, those things has
self-control, right?
yeah, it's all about self-control. Of course, those things are much easier said than done. I mean, I'm sure some of us would struggle with. I mean, it's kind of hard, isn't it? Have you seen the recent kind of like, what is it, like semi-documentary slash show called like The Social Dilemma, or have you like heard about it at all?
I've heard about it.
Yeah, that's like quite an
Talks about like the topic in the documentary.
yeah, the documentary has talked lots about like social addiction, though it does delves into lots about like the ethicality of these like technological advancements. I mean, they have like lots of statistics about how, you know, many students are like teenagers are going down like a much darker path compared to when before these like before like these like social medias were like invented and whatnot.
Bit of a loose term, but I
Yeah.
can kind of see where you're coming from with that.
I mean,
So I wouldn't say social media is all bad, but
yeah,
I'm trying to do.
I mean, I suppose it's got some like merits to it, allows better connection between people somewhat. But I mean,
I'm no expert. I'm no expert on it or anything, but I still think for what little I've used of it, it's still a very valid tool for getting
Yeah.
people to like stay in touch and connect with one another
mhm.
properly, of course. That's,
Okay, so like going on to other recreational activities, and you and I, you know, we both go to the gym sometimes, or you know, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you do like your
Yes.
works out at home, and then some people do works out at school, like I do.
Well,
I mean, do you really? I mean, for me, I've been going to like doing exercises since like early high school, like before I even got myself involved in the IB diploma, and I suspect you have also been doing that too, right?
I've been doing it too, but not for like some betterment. It was more so just like pass the ROTC exams.
No, yes.
Go on.
No. Yeah, so I mean, would you say like your kind of like perceptions or like attitude towards like exercise or like other recreational activities have changed when you like discover that you can put these things as like a CAS activity for your CAS requirement?
Man.
Ma?
No.
No.
For me, at least, if you're talking recreational, like practicing the piano and going out to the gym, I would still say I'd still say if I had the time, with the current mindset I have, if I have the time, I put time in for those two things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
even if CAS didn't exist for this. So
Yeah.
it might have been no, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
For me at least, but I know it's different for a lot of people.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, there's always some sort of thinking that one might have, like maybe, like sometimes you're like doing something, and then while you're like doing something productive, someone comes up to you and be like, hey, you should do this, it's very productive for you. And then I feel like, personally, at least for me, I kind of don't exactly like to do things after people like
Tell you to do it.
specifically. I mean like some like general orders, like, hey, like if like a teacher tells me like, hey, you need to turn in this essay by this much, and then I would also like you to do this. I'm like, sure, that's a requirement. That's like very straightforward and what I've been expecting. But if it's something more like, I'm like, I mean gym. Let's say I go to the gym like often already, and then like let's say like someone comes up and they're like, hey, you should go to the gym, and I'm like, yeah, I've already been doing that. What do you think I've been doing this whole year? It does kind of change it a little bit.
Or,
I mean, I kind of remember this like little kind of meme of like, it's like a penguin from Pengu. It's like there's like a text that says like me doing something productive, and then it's had like a line that said parents said like you should do this, and then the little penguin is just sitting there with his arm crossed saying like, no, now I'm not doing it, which is kind of like, I'd say since that thing blew up, I'd say there are some many people who would like think kind of like that, where they don't exactly like being told, because if they're doing
to something
yeah
rather than letting you figure out what it is.
yeah,
what it
because
is for you.
some I mean, when people do something by themselves and they know it's a good thing, they have kind of like, hey, what, I'm actually improving, I'm actually like helping myself. And when sometimes for some people, when other people come and try out and like say this, the thing that they're doing, they kind of their mindset might think like, oh, I'm only doing this because other people are telling me to do it, and they don't
Right.
might not feel like the same sense of like pride and accomplishment that they had before.
And there's also the issue of like, once it's all over, once they tell you that, okay, you don't need to do this anymore, will you actually be doing it rather than like letting you figure it out yourself? It's there's much less of a chance of that happening compared to if, for example, going to the gym is something you picked up for yourself out of your own like mental fortitude. You decided, all right, I'm starting to go to the gym starting tomorrow, and it's gonna be something I'll keep up for the rest of my time. Rather than if, well, as part of CAS, for example, it tells you you need this set criteria of action to get the IB diploma, and it does seem, not to harper on it too much, but it does seem a bit counterintuitive, I guess, of what the meaning of CAS is supposed to tell.
Yeah,
What the message of CAS is really supposed to get across.
cause like
Well, I do.
I do know like many people who obviously have like good intentions in helping other people, and have been like doing community service and doing stuff within clubs before they even like join the IB diploma. And yeah, it does kind of seem kind of that way. I mean, you can continue your train of thought.
But I want to see.
I mean, I don't know. I do feel like
No, okay. CAS, it has good intentions. I'd still say it's worthwhile to have for an IB diploma, but
but
I'm trying to think of ways to like improve on it, or like the current system, but I don't know. It's a really touchy subject, because this kind, not touchy. It's a really finicky subject. This kind of thing. Like, try and find the right workaround.
I mean, I suppose the concept might also apply to like people giving advices, and probably even like applies here, that we kind of like semi giving advices and giving our own perspective on how people should do things like. But there also must I mean this is my opinion. I personally feel like that has to be like a sign like minimum amount of like orders or like suggestions that must be like given to people. I mean, obviously some people are are very like perceptive or intelligent, and they would be able to like figure out many things that are like productive and like beneficial to them that they should do, and when they figure it out themselves they would get that sense of like accomplishment. But I'm sure that also that exists where there are some people who would like prefer more of a guided like path to like doing things. And not I'm not saying that the people who prefer guided path are like lesser or like, I mean, they're just different from the other groups of people, and each of them has like their own kind of like style of learning. But I do feel like for some people, giving them guidance is going to be good for them in the long run. I guess it's also like, I don't know. I don't want to. I don't want to go deep into like the concept like teachers giving orders and how maybe like the school system is a little bit flawed because the generic system might.
Yeah, we went from relaxation all the way to here.
Yeah, I mean,
One to three.
just to like give like a quick brief opinion, I feel like maybe like this generic school system is kind of like built for like the average person, where you would have like the average people doing fine, but you also have like the people who excel at things becoming bored of the level they're at, and people who are more in need of help struggling to like meet that average levels. And I feel like the system is a little bit flawed in that way. But personally, I mean, I just don't feel like I'm like an expert or too knowledgeable in that, so I feel like you shouldn't weigh in my opinions on that too much. But yeah.
For me, well, no. Let's diverge from talking about the school system for a little bit to maybe would you say a root cause for a lot of like issues people have is kind of in parenting, or at least
you want to diverge from that topic to this topic.
Okay, I can go from I can go to something else. Just give me a second.
Wow, that is like quite a big
Minecraft
turn.
Steve is in Smash, guys. You should get a Switch. You should get Smash. You should get a senior lounge and have 6 people playing Minecraft Steve at the same time. Is that a better topic?
If I had the energy to do it, I would have cut this part off from the podcast recording. But since I don't, I'm just gonna leave it in. And whoever listens to this, I hope you're having a fine day. I hope you're not too surprised about what we're talking.
Dude, are you feeling relaxed right now?
No, I have like, I mean, can you feel relaxed in year 2?
I think I can, or like this week at least. For the Pomoja Chinese class I'm taking right now, we've got a week off, so I'm all free of any work to do for that class until Wednesday.
Oh, that's quite
nice.
That's quite nice.
And that leaves me with only my bio IA and my TOK presentation to work on for the weekend. Like,
yes. TOK, the source of relaxation, isn't
it? Coming up with a knowledge question was I think I'd rather have lost a few limbs than whatever I went through trying to do that.
But anyhow, you feel like it's a good place to end?
Sure.
It is 25 minutes, not a bad time for recording.
I brought up Minecraft Steve, I brought up Smash, so
you're happy.
You should end this before I say anything else that gets us.
Alright, that's gonna be it for today's episode. It's gonna quickly end this episode before any of us say anything more stupid.
Sound effects.
So please maybe share if you don't feel like the people who you share this with are going to stop becoming your friends because our podcast is horrific. Anyhow, that's gonna do it for this episode.